Welcome, alchemists. What are your guides trying to tell you about your life purpose that you need to hear right now? If you've already chosen your doorway, check the timestamps below. If not, I'm going to give you a little bit of a closer look. Doorway number 1. Doorway number 2. Doorway number 3. Trust the doorway you're drawn to, and let's begin the great work. Hello, alchemists, and welcome to your initiation through doorway number 1. What do your guides want to tell you about your life purpose that you need to hear right now? You chose lost in space, needing direction. So I'm getting a feeling from this like sometimes being directionless is the space that you need in order to find your true direction. Because often we'll feel like we've got to have a single identity of who we are. Oh, I've wanted to be an archaeologist since I was a kid, or I've wanted to be a marine biologist since I was a kid. And then you think, oh, my whole identity has to be built around this. Well, that's not necessarily true, right? So let's explore the shadow around this. So if you're feeling lost, like you need direction, like you're not sure what your purpose is, sometimes your guides are saying that's the point. Let's see what the shadow is with this. Oh my goodness, I've been getting this card so much. I feel like in the collective, there must be a lot of inner battles going on. I think that you need to think about what you really enjoyed as a kid and reflect on that. There's this concept of shadow bag from Robert Bly, who's a Jungian psychologist. And basically he says that like good and bad things get thrown into your shadow bag, which is basically means when you're a kid or a teen or whenever, and you show something that is not approved, whether that's something you like doing or something that's not good for society or whatever, you're shut down. And so you put that stuff into a shadow bag, which basically means you repress it. So I'm getting the sense that you need, in order to overcome this inner battle, you need to take a step back and think about what you really wanted to do as a kid. And before other people started dumping stuff on you, but also before you started romanticizing or idealizing a certain dream, back when it was just fun. Meditation. Yeah, take some time to really think and reflect and meditate on what you truly want. This is a very interesting pile because the guides are trying to tell you that in that quiet space, instead of having anxiety about the quiet space, see the quiet space as the garden in which the seeds of your life purpose are going to grow. And you're definitely, I feel like you're like, money is not, you do things because you believe in them, not necessarily because they're going to make you a lot of money. And that has been a real thing of contention in your life, because I think that, it's probably a pretty big productivity / money and comfort wound in your shadow bag. And you really need to meditate on this. There's this kind of dark imagery here, lost, dark, inner battles. Yeah, your life purpose is calling you, but that purpose is muddled. And so it's hard for you to see it clearly because of everything you've been told in the past about expectations. And so it's buried so deep, you're going to have to take some time to reflect and meditate. Let's see what this is. Ace of Cups. Okay. Look for a sign. Look for a sign, a synchronicity. Maybe it's something, like I said earlier, that you loved as a child and you're going to get some kind of reminder of it. It's going to start showing up for you a lot. And it's going to have a very emotional effect on you. And when it does, you need to think about that and weave that into your meditations about, because it's funny, it may not be that the childhood thing is the thing that is your life purpose. It might just be that that is the thing that leads you to a place of more understanding about what your goals in life are. The Star. Yeah, this period of confusion and stuff is temporary. You're in a tower moment, and the clarity you'll get afterward will have such a sense of peace around it. So I'm not worried about you at all. You might feel lost, you might feel in conflict internally, but I can see that you are a strong person and you're getting out. This is sort of dark night of the soul energy. So you're being blinded to the hard work you're actually doing in your subconscious and the background that spirit's doing for you. But that's part of the process of the dark night of the soul. You go through the dark night of the soul, you go through the dark night of the senses, you go through the dark night of the spirit. And each of those phases, slowly hone in on your life purpose. And sometimes it takes a lifetime to get there. And that's okay, because the process itself is part of the purpose. Queen of Pentacles. There is such powerful energy here. Yeah, you are on the cusp of figuring this out. And really, you just need that quiet space away from chattering voices that are telling you, what you should do or shouldn't do. This is like, and I feel like too, with the Queen of Pentacles here juxtaposing this card, I feel like when you figure out your life purpose, it's going to naturally flow in a way that abundance starts coming in your life, whether that means financial or healthier relationships or just being more joyful in general. Eight of Swords. Yeah, this energy, it goes along with like the tower energy. I'm feeling the lost in space. You feel trapped by the expectations that have been put on you by maybe your family, maybe society, maybe stuff you don't even realize is controlling your reactions and stuff because they're so ingrained. And I feel like coming back to this inner battle, these ants fighting over gold. What is an ant going to do with gold? Right? So you're fighting inside yourself over stuff that's probably not even relevant to you or your situation, right? The Magician. This is really powerful. Like, I really feel like you're doing the work. I don't feel like you'd be here unless you were doing the work. And not only that, but with the Magician coming up here, especially with the Ace of Cups, this process of growth, meditation, and change is actually going to be a huge catalyst for you to find your life purpose and balance in your life. And with the Magician, I feel like your life purpose is, and with the Star too, your life purpose is something that is very spiritual to you, whether that's music, whether that's spirituality, whether that's art, whatever it is, it's something that is extremely nourishing to your spirit. So let's pull an affirmation card to kind of lock this message in. I feel like you're ready to step out with that peacock as well. You're ready to be seen. I like to work hard. Okay, this is actually funny because I'm getting a different message from this than what it says. So I think that what this is like the idea that you're not afraid to do the hard work. But sometimes you need to step back and say, do I really need to do the hardest work? Or, so there's a song, I think it's by First Aid Kit, called My Silver Lining, and she says, be it for reason, be it for love, I won't take the easy road. And, sometimes we choose to take the more difficult road because we want the harder lesson. We want to grow faster and further. And you just have to ask yourself, do you want to pace yourself and grow slower, but it takes longer to get to where you want to go? Or do you want to just dive in and do the hard work more quickly? I tend to be that kind of person, and whew, I don't know if I recommend it or not. It's just who I am, but it is rough sometimes. But you do make a lot of quantum leaps, as they say. So you just have to decide if this is the right path for you or not. If you want to take it easy and slow, or if you want to rush into it. But for right now, your guides are calling you to take a break so that stuff can come into focus for you. Because once stuff comes into focus for you, then you can decide how fast or slow you want this process to go. So yeah, what you want, your purpose in life, it's funny because sometimes you think you know what it is even, and then you're blindsided by something completely different. And with this lost in space, I just get the dreaminess and not really knowing, but it's going to come clear, and it's going to come clear in a way that you're not expecting. So just keep chugging forward, and you've got this, Alchemist. This star magician energy, especially with the Queen of Pentacles, you're not going to be lost much longer. Remember, the dark night of the soul is a doorway, not a prison. So, and when that doorway opens, it's like you jumped 20 levels while you were in the dark night. All right. Well, if this resonated for you, please leave a comment below, and I'll see you next time. Keep up the great work. Welcome, Alchemists, to your initiation through doorway number 2. What do your guides want you to know about your purpose in life? You chose Magician's Sword, confidence in your magic. You may already have an idea of what your life purpose is, and you're just here to hone it in a little bit. Get a little advice about honing it in. I feel like with confidence in your magic, it's saying that actually you kind of know what it is you want to do. If this isn't resonating, maybe check out one of the other piles. But you kind of know what you want to do, and you just need to understand how to get that from a vision to, real world. Look at that. What card is this, and why is it here? Let's check this out. Durga. Leave her there just in case. Powerful energies around this. Once again, the feeling that you already know what this life purpose is. You just want to know how to manifest it into reality better. All right, your shadow card. You're overthinking it, and it feels a lot like when you pluck your own petals, that usually comes from people teaching you to pluck your own petals. So maybe, to get this to manifest in the real world, you're going to have to feel exposed, because when you share your treasure, your purpose with the world, there are always going to be naysayers. And remember, those naysayers almost always come because somebody else has an issue. So like, you're living your dream, you're happy. Like, for example, if someone, wears, I don't know, bright neon pink shoes or something, and someone's like, ugh, who does that? That just shows that that person maybe wants to wear bright neon shoes, but doesn't have the confidence to do it, right? So when people, like, everyone is a mirror. So when people say and do things towards you, it's a mirror of themselves. And you are scared that if you expose yourself, your magic, your purpose, that either A, it will dilute the sacredness of it, or B, that exposure will cause people to attack you or treat you badly or make you feel like your vision is not valid or sacred. And that's just not true. Once you can get this sort of strength element of yourself up, your boundary element, and the fact that you're not investing in other people's interpretation of your magic. Communion. You know, it's so funny. These decks, I use them quite a bit and I keep getting the same cards. So I'm thinking that the collective really needs this message about not self-harming yourself emotionally, about the subtle ways that we are constantly degrading ourselves or diminishing ourselves because of what we were taught. And that communion, this one is like being in communion with your higher self, with your subconscious, with your magic. It almost erases that feeling of fear when it comes to being scared that people are going to troll you or make you feel bad. Or, you know, let's see, Yeats has a poem, and at the end of it, he says, I have laid my dreams under your feet. Tread softly because you tread on my dreams. So I think that that's the energy I'm getting from this. Like, you're scared that people are going to tread on your dreams and it's going to lose its sacred magic if you expose it to the world. But here's the truth. You can do that. You can expose your magic to the world and keep the integrity and sacredness intact. You just have to interpret it and put it out there in a way that aligns with your principles and values. And then you have to feel confident and understand that other people's negativity is a projection of their problems and not a reflection of your work. Knight of Wands. Yeah, it's time for you to move forward with this. It's time for you to step out and show your magic. And, you know, don't show it to the undeserving or whatever, but if you're ready to put it out in the world and you've been wanting to for a long time, this is a call for that. Yeah, you're above the fray. Be above it. If people are going to insult you or put you down, and probably that won't even happen. Most communities are pretty, you know, supportive. You're not, and I doubt you're going to go to a community that's not supportive. And if there's a single person, and that's the issue, right? If there's a single person that insults you or hurts you, that sticks to you much longer than 500 kind things. But once again, someone who's going to come and insult your purpose, you know, that's because they don't have a purpose. They haven't found theirs yet. And so they, you know, can only function by lashing out at the people around them because they don't want to do the work themselves. Queen of Wands. Okay. Yeah. You're on fire inside. You're ready. You've been burning up to share this, but this insecurity is holding you back. And with this communion card, I really feel like you have the confidence with yourself, but you're afraid that you'll lose that confidence in front of other people. But I don't think you're going to, because you're getting to that stage where you're starting to understand that other people's opinions, like I said earlier, they're a reflection of their own issues, not of yours. It's people who want to rain on other people's parades, that's a them problem, not a you problem. 5 of Cups. Yeah, this is the fear right here. This is the fear, is that it'll invalidate your dream. And if your dream feels invalidated, you'll wonder if you wasted your time or if you're silly or stupid or something like that. But it's not. It's not. Somebody probably insulted this dream or this life purpose idea a long time ago and kind of caused you to shut it down. But you're ready to rise above. And look at this. This communion card and the 7 of Wands, they're almost like reflective of each other, like a mirror. You're above the fray, and above that fray becomes a peaceful space for you to come into communion with the kind of people who deserve the light of your magic. Three of Swords. Yeah, whoever did this to you, whoever put this pressure on you that this dream or whatever was a waste, or that, following it would be a waste of time, or that it was silly or whatever. It really hurt you and you really shoved it down. I mean, this Three of Swords, and oh my goodness. Yeah, to the point where you may have even actively insulted your own dream or self-deprecated about your own purpose and dream. No, this is beautiful. Your purpose, your magic, your dream is beautiful. And so all you got to do, it's time to wash away those ideas and thoughts that aren't your own about it and get back to bare roots. I find ways and love to overcome challenges. Well, you've got a challenge right here. The universe is challenging you to take one tiny step forward in fulfilling this dream and exposing it to the world. Do it safely. Expose it to the right people who you know are safe. Keep refining your art. Keep refining your vision. Even reading tarot cards, or, we all go through an imposter syndrome phase. And I've been reading tarot cards and stuff since I was 12 years old. And I still sometimes feel like, oh, who am I to give these messages? But that's not me speaking, because Spirit, I get all these synchronicities and da-da-da when I'm reading. So I know this was my purpose and my mission, to help people this way. And it was really hard to stop doing this. And you can do it too. Overcome the challenges. And I can feel that you're the kind of person who just keeps plugging away at it. So you're aware of this. That's the thing. It's not like I'm telling you something you don't know already. You're aware that this is happening. And so let me give you some practical advice. Kaizen is my lifeblood, which is basically the idea of doing one small thing. Because if you do 1 minute of something every day, that's 365 minutes a year, right? So whatever your purpose and stuff is, share it with one safe person for a while, and then slowly expand that circle out. And be prepared for a naysayer and how you're going to respond to that, because you are above it. So walk through it with grace. If someone comes and tries to troll you, you don't have to take the bait, right? All right, Alchemist. Your magic is there. It's just time to release it. You definitely need to turn outward. You've spent a lot of time self-destructing inward. It's time to go outward and release some of that pressure. Yeah, your magic is waiting for you. Your divine nature is waiting for you. All right. If this resonated with you, comment down below, and I will see you next time. Keep up the great work. Hello, Alchemists, and welcome to your initiation through doorway number 3. You chose Watchers, transpersonal. Wow. I don't know why pile 3 always tends to be very elevated, very cerebral, very spiritual, but, the Watchers are in different, contexts, basically spirits that are watching us, or maybe sometimes angels, or, whatever. But so with transpersonal, it's saying like going beyond your personal experience and seeing it from a broader view or a divine view, however you want to look at it. So with this, I feel like your guides are saying, for your life purpose, it's actually going to be a lot. I mean, you already know that it has to do with some deep spiritual work, but it's actually going to be even more transcendent and spiritual than you had assumed. And even you might be sitting over there like, whoa, I am doing some deep, deep, deep work over here. How in the world? There's always another layer. So the Kabbalistic tree of life as seen as a blueprint of spiritual growth. At the bottom of the tree is Malkuth, which is kingdom, and at the top is Keter, which is crown. And as you're climbing this tree of life, and you get from Malkuth to Keter, Keter is actually the Malkuth of the next tree up. So you might be like, oh, I've gone through so many of these trees or these lessons. And then when you get to the top, you find that you're just at the beginning of the next lesson, right? And that's where you're at. So you're thinking, wait, I've already gone through this awakening, or I've already dealt with so many things. And, so I feel a very spiritually grounded purpose coming through from your guides. Let's take a look at your shadow here. Oh my goodness, that's your shadow. Good for you. No. With that being in your shadow spot, I would say that means that you need to take it slower sometimes. If you're really resonating with this, oh, I keep wanting to elevate spiritually and transcend myself, when are you stopping to ground yourself in your body and be present in your physical world? It's really easy to meditate for 4 hours a day if you're in a really spiritual state, or feel like, oh, I have to do yoga and then I have to do this and that and the other, and then fill your whole day up with that and forget that being alive itself is a sacred spiritual experience. Having a meal, taking a hike, even watching TV. Basically, every experience you have, because you're divine and everything is sacred, is a sacred experience in one way or another. Now, let's see. Beauty. Yeah, stop and smell the roses. Your spiritual journey, you're never going to reach the end of it, right? You're never going to reach the end of your spiritual journey. So make sure you're stopping and enjoying, this world too. So like, this is a dense dimension or a dense place, right? It's heavy, and we can get really caught up in like what's going to happen next or what we should do spiritually. But sometimes you need to stop and remember that you came here, or you are here. And even if you were like a spirit and this isn't your true form or whatever, you came here for a reason then. And if you came here for a reason, aren't you supposed to make the most of being here? And so don't get overly caught up in, spiritual stuff too. It should become something that is interwoven with your life, not something that takes over your life or becomes an obsession. And so I would just invite you to see how you can commune with the peaceful, grounded nature of your physical 3D reality. That spiritual stuff's always there. It's always waiting. You're never going to reach the end of it. Like, you cannot reach the top tree in this lifetime, right? You're going to have to keep. So it made a huge difference in my life when I finally was like, oh, I don't need to rush through. I'm just going to get as far as I get in this life, and then I'll pick it up the next time. Ace of Wands. Exactly. Yeah, that fire is there. It's going. You don't have to worry about it. Just get as far as you get, and make sure that you stop and really enjoy your life here. There is nothing to achieve or attain specifically. We have goals and stuff, but also don't let the fact that you were probably raised in a goal-based society mar your spiritual vision. Because if your productivity wound ends up influencing your spirituality, it actually diminishes it and slows it down. So you might be like, oh, I've got to make it to the next level, the next. And then what that does is actually slow down your true progress. Strength. Yeah. You are a very strong-willed person, and that's why you've gotten to this level that you've gotten to. And it's time to soften the journey. And you know what this is you need to soften yourself to yourself. You're so soft to other people and compassionate, but you need to soften yourself inwardly and give yourself a break. Give yourself grace. Queen of Wands. This came up in doorway number 2. So if that doorway also looked a little tempting, then I would advise you to go over there if you wish and check it out. Yeah, a lot of fire energy here. You are on fire spiritually, and this is why it's hard for you to slow down and really enjoy the fruits of this world. And this world can be so painful and so difficult, but there are also the good things. And, you know, it's important not to use your spirituality as an escape. This also showed up in the last doorway. So, wow, definitely some synchronicities going on there. You may want to look at that too. You know, the last doorway was about that you know your purpose, but you're afraid of exposure. And this one, with that in mind, since we were getting so many repeating cards, what if you are doing this, overdoing this, pushing it too far too fast with an urgency that's unnecessary because you know that eventually you will be exposed to the world, your spirituality, your, obviously there's sacred things that always be there for just you, but that when you get there, you want to make sure that you're 100 million% right and confident in it so that if someone challenges you, you'll be 100% knowledgeable. And so that way you'll never be exposed or below or whatever. But really when it comes down to it is, you already know that it's okay to be imperfect. And that part of the spiritual path is understanding that we make mistakes or that sometimes we might be wrong or get called out. And sometimes we won't look like the wise sage or whatever. And that's okay. It's okay to let go of that. And these things a lot of times work on such a low subconscious level, you might not even know it's happening. And you give that grace to other people. You don't expect them to be level 20,000 master of all things. So why are you putting that expectation on yourself? You deserve that kind of grace too. Oh my goodness, seriously? 3 cards in a row. These were all in the other readings. I can't remember if this was in the last one or if doorway 1. Well, this being sort of a transcendent doorway, it's not surprising to me that it connects to the other 2. It might be that this entire video is for you. Yeah. You want to be so highly learned and an expert in this to the point where no one can even remotely touch you before you expose yourself. And that's not really feasible unless you want to be a hermit your whole life. At some point, and like I said, it doesn't mean expose your deepest vulnerable secret. No, not that. It just means to walk in your own truth. If this is a really important part of your life, it's going to show up in your life. And you're going to have to be out and proud about it. And in order to do that, you're going to have the confidence to maybe be exposed to people who won't understand. But look, victory card. It's not going to even be nearly as bad as you think. It's not as bad as you think at all. All right, so it's time for you to spend time in this plane of existence, in this world, and taking your theoretical growth and spirituality, the one that you've been in your head about and working and growing and working so hard on and doing such a great job on, and practical, becoming practical with it. I am who I want to be. Yeah, you are. And you need to make sure that you're having the full gamut of a human experience. It's not just spirit, mind, and emotions. It's also body. It's also the physical world. With this cactus here, the sort of prickliness, right? Well, I feel like with this victory card here at the end, you already knew this. You're working through it. This, the first step is always the hardest when it comes to these kinds of things. When you take that first step and you see that, oh, I'm not going to be, criticized, or I'm going to, spend more time not doing spiritual things. But then you find that you actually become more spiritual because you're spending time living your life literally instead of figuratively or metaphorically, right? So, yeah, it's good to balance both. You're a highly, highly spiritual person if you came to this one. And your thoughts are so transcendent of this human place that you can forget to ground yourself in your human body. So, this is an invitation for that. Sometimes what I like to do when I get into this state is I like to picture my root chakra, as a glowing red ball, and then to see roots coming out of it and kind of growing into the earth so I can ground myself, which is funny because it's a very, visualization kind of thing, but it's a good grounding thing to, as sort of to do something like that, but especially if you do it outside in nature. And then afterwards, just stop and look at the trees and look at the clouds and enjoy the bird song. Do one of those meditations where you are focused on your five senses rather than just inward, inward, inward. A five senses meditation is actually a very practical way to ground yourself in reality. All right, my bright, bright, vibrant, elevated alchemist from Doorway 3. We're going to end it here today. And thank you so much for joining me. And please leave your comments down below. I know my readings are just honest and straightforward, but I'm always trying to be so gentle and kind. Everyone here is doing such a great job. You should be really proud of yourself. Keep doing the great work, and I will see you next time.